Hello, sports card, Wild West marketplace, friends, investors, collectors, venture hobbyists, as Bobby would say. I hope you all are having a great evening. Welcome to Sports Cards Daily live evening show with our news, guest, and Q&A. Thank you, guys. This is awesome. This is Tuesday. It is September 7th. 7th is also the 7th show we've been doing of this format. So really excited about the format tonight. Got a few cool things to go over, kind of in news and collectibles. In fact, I think I might maybe change the name from Sports Card to Sports Collectibles Daily because I'm talking about so many different things now. A lot of stuff going on in the hobby. I also have a great guest tonight. Somebody who's been on my channel before, but new to the show, as I'll say. So first time to the show, second time to the channel. Really, really great guest. We're going to talk about spotting fakes. We're going to talk about card shows. And there was one other topic I can't remember called, but we'll get to that one too. Let me go ahead and dive into some content. Let me see if I can do this properly. Now, I was playing with this earlier. I don't know if that works for you guys, if that's a little bit better. And I'm not going to keep this format because I only had to share one screen at a time. I need advanced lessons in this stream world. Anyway, college players in packs of football cards, it's happening. Not surprised. What does surprise me is who's the one introducing this. This is coming from Onyx, and this is out of Sports Collectors Daily. How do I scroll that page down? Oh, I go here. Okay, Sports Collectors Daily, college players in packs, and these look pretty kind of cool. I mean, looks like they're going to have some inscriptions on them, right? Roll Tide, Boomer Sooner. It does look like those could be on card as well. Now, you notice they're not licensed by the colleges, so you're not going to see logos of Alabama or Oklahoma or vice versa, I guess, Oklahoma or Alabama, Notre Dame there, Clemson, right? But I do think this is pretty interesting. Here's the what are they called? The odds, limited to 25 or less, black signatures, green signatures. I guess this is going to be a signature hit product. Onyx Vintage Cards. Coming in November, no word yet on release price, box, and so forth, but keep that on your list. Because in my opinion, this is just the first. There'll be a ton of these college products coming. I mean, a ton of these college products coming, and I think from everybody. Other stuff that's in here, I don't know if I can, let me see, I'm going to stop this. Stop that. I'm going to go back to share screen by doing it the old-fashioned way. Forgive me, guys. Damn. Other news in Sports Collectors Daily. A meet and greet with Tom Brady's going up for auction. Kind of neat. Going to be super expensive. Kind of neat. You know, talk about your true utility, right? Instead of like a card or just an autograph, you get a meet and greet, right? I think you have to meet him at a game or something like that. Nothing else really super caught my eye on Sports Collectors Daily today. Over on the Daily Hobby, not much else super exciting caught my eye there. I have been doing some mining on some older articles as they hopefully update this website. I don't know. It's bench clear. Anyway, we'll get to bench clear in a minute. But I do support the hobby. And I say support in the sense I call attention to them because I want them to get views. I'm not sponsored by them. And I bring this to your attention as an influencer. I'm not getting paid by them. I have no agreement. I'm just doing this because I like bench clear, and I want the Daily Hobby page to do well. That's why I bring attention to this stuff. And I should maybe bring more attention to why I do that. Quick few points to bring to your attention. Panini tomorrow, women's basketball, 274. I think we saw that at 320 earlier on Blowout. 274, still high in my opinion. Still high. I think last year's was around 240 with Ionesca. I think it started at 120. But interesting. Also tomorrow, is this tomorrow? Or no, in 2 days, there's the complete set number to 99. Last year, these things sold out like instantaneously. There's only 99 of these. Dutch auction starting at 1,000. Also tomorrow, Donruss football. I have to be honest, man. I want to get Donruss football. I do. I just can't see doing it. I can't pull the trigger on it. I'm going to discipline and hold. I also think Origins looks really beautiful this year. 425 just seems a little high to me. And it looks like a gorgeous product. In fact, in the blog posting here, they give you some great pictures. It looks like there's a lot of shiny as my friend Pepino Man would say, there's a lot of Chinese in this product. Very Chinese. Oh, here we go. Where is it? Tracy Hackler, my man. Look at all the Chinese. That looks very Chinese. That Marvel's card looks Chinese. That looks Chinese. Chinese. Very Chinese. Very Chinese. Look at that. I mean, there's some pretty cool cards in this product. Look at my internet just suck it through a straw. Okay, we're gonna stop that. Oh, over here on Market Movers, just sharing this for two reasons tonight. Number one, I love the tool, and we're tracking here the PSA 10,000, right? PSA 10s with a pop count over 10,000, and just watching, green or red or whatever. Hey, who's making a move? Pete Alonso's made pretty much a big move to $44 right now, almost worth the cost of grading. Gavin Lux, it just blows me away how cheap that product is, that guy is, and how people graded how much of his stuff. I will mention we have Breakout on tonight, Ryan from Breakout. So if you're looking to sign up and subscribe, you get 20% off. Use code Breakout. I do recommend you do that. Support the Breakout guys, and it is a great product. I do like it. Okay, real quickly, a few more minutes, and we're going to get to our guest here. Checking my time here. Really interesting buzz. This is probably the biggest news of the day. In fairness, I should honestly point out that it was because I'm Carlos who brought attention to this first. I think he posted this last night in a blog posting about influencers. And really what I think triggered it to him was he was talking about Lucas Tigers and Bronze and their involvement with collectibles, right? Then I actually saw Jeremy in collectibles. And I'll be honest, when I saw Jeremy in collectibles, I already saw Lucas Tigers and Bronze work with collectibles. So I was like, yeah, I just don't pay attention to that content as much on that session. Like I like the show. I watch the show almost every day, but I don't watch the collectibles thing. I'm just not into flat fractionals. Then this came out, and this is a little more calling to attention to influencers and what they're doing and yada yada yada. And I'll put it this way: I know Cage and Andrew both responded back to this immediately. I think it was some interesting, tit for tat back and forth. It wasn't really dramatic, I'll leave it at this. Look, we keep hearing this. The Lucas guy said this, right? With great influence comes great responsibility. And you can use that for good or bad. You can have influence and you can accidentally influence things in a way. What I would say is that, like they talk about integrity and honesty, I would never question their integrity and honesty, right? But I know that when you do things for money, you can justify other things, if that makes sense. And again, I'm not innocent of this at all, right? I have my own reasons for why I influence, right? And I do have advertisements on my videos now. But I don't have sponsorships, or I don't, take advertising or anything with anybody at this point. Don't plan to at this point. I like to support others. I like my independence, and I like, being unbiased. And I also like to be able to change my opinion, right? So I can listen to you guys and maybe bend my decision or whatever. Anyway, really interesting post here. I wanted, like I said, that because Carlos brought attention to this, to me, I was more interested in Jeremy's influence. Because I will say, of the two, Lucas Tigers and Bronze really just talking about the collectibles. Hey, here's a way, a play, an angle you can make money. I see this coming out. I don't blame them. They're just sharing their opinion. They're in a bunch of guys who are in a barbershop, really kind of talking. They like collectible. Great. They had food with collectible, whatever. Jeremy's actually I thought was interesting because if you watch his show on the collectible channel, it just felt awkward to me. And I don't want it to look natural because I like Jeremy when I saw him as kind of this impartial, even though I know he's not really impartial. No one is impartial again, but he seemed more impartial on his show than he is on this like QVC collectible show we're talking about, which is a really good, IPO coming out. Okay, a couple of things because I want to get to my guest here. Ty, Breakout, Bench Clear Media does a great video talking about Topps and do they care? Real quickly, I'm just going to make a comment in the NFT world. People think Topps is checked out there as well. I think Topps might be a ghost town. Topps might have checked out, right? The talent might be moving on. People might have been expecting the vest. There might have been a lot of people crushed with the IPO expected to happen, and then they get their kick in the cojones. I don't know how you keep morale there up right now. I mean, and as a collector, I'm frustrated. I don't like their death clause on their NFTs. Their sports cards have been a little messy. Anyway, I want to get on. Next up, real quickly, I just want to mention this because I was listening to this NFT channel today, and they brought to attention that the NFL reportedly banned teams from crypto advertisements and NFT sales. Did you hear that? The NFL came and said the players and the teams cannot be involved in crypto advertisements and NFT sales. Very interesting. I don't think that's going to impact Panini with Panini blockchain football prism. I suspect you're still on the roadmap. Because if you look at other sports, they're all like LaMelo's got his own thing. You know, I think football, that's not allowed, right? You're not allowed to do your own NFTs right now. Last thing I'll mention real quickly, well, two more things. Check this out. Today, mark this date, guys. What is this? 9/7/21. El Salvador standardized on Bitcoin for currency. Interesting. Just, I know you're like, well, Ziggy, this is sports cards. Well, that's pretty impressive because it has impact on crypto. Crypto has impact on the hobby indirectly through NFTs, and crypto people are in the sports cards. So just understand that's an interesting day. Just take note of it. I don't know if it's good or bad. Crypto had a major dip today as well, but just keep that in mind. Lastly, another video on a sheet breaker where the breaker kind of palms a redemption card and hides it from the audience. I think it's absolutely crazy. Mike here at Advantage Clear is talking about the industry summit, which is coming up, which absolutely sold out, which I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Beckett had a video on that as well. Eric from Beckett talked about the industry summit. There it is right there. And I wish I was going. There's no online summit. It's only in person, and it's sold out. And the sports card show's there. So it should be, in my opinion, it should be in many ways better than the national for content that should come out. Some quality information. There's the Jeremy Collectible show coming up. I'm going to go ahead and I'll just leave one last thing. I did get into a new NFT project today. I really think this is really cool. Check this out. And I'm going to my guest here. NFTs, fantasy football. You have to start 5 players in your fantasy team. And I got the quarterback. I got Rodgers, and I got Russell Wilson. Really excited. Really, really excited. Okay, I'm going to stop that without further delay. And guys, let me just go back and check real quickly who we have here in the chat. Oh, we got Sports Analytics, Elliot in the room. We got Elite in the room, Double Coverage in the room. Man, it's great to see you guys. Great to see you. Love the story I put out about him. Haha. Got him, DM them, got them. A nice DM from them. Card Porn, love the story I put out about them. I didn't see that. I'll have to check that out. Keep it real, Ziggy. Thanks, man. Okay. So without further delay, Ryan, man, how are you doing? Can you hear me, or can I not hear you?
I was muted. I'm sorry. So we're good.
There we go. First of all, thanks for being up so late. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy man. You got to get up and work tomorrow. You're all over the place, but thanks for joining tonight. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
So tonight we want to talk a little bit. I know some topics have come up, and an area that just first of all, let me introduce you. You are one of the guys that break out cards. I'll let you introduce yourself as well. But what I know you for is putting together great content around 2 topics: fake cards and spotting fake vintage, what to look for. So if you're looking for that, his page, his channel is a great resource to go Google, 86 clear to think it's fake, right? Ryan, I just show. And Ryan, can you add to that?
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit on my side. Maybe it's my connection. But I have pretty much 3 series on my channel that I do. The first one is the card shows, kind of bread and butter. So this year I made it my goal to go to 52 different card shows across the country. Some weekends I'll go to multiple card shows. This weekend I'll be at number 39 in Boston, and I should be hitting the number 52 end of November, early December with that. So that's like the main series on my channel, the bread and butter there. I also have another series where I teach people how to spot fake cards. I know recently you were talking about the Kobe Ovations auto that I think was like Jets Mamba or something like that. So that card was actually faked as well at the Dallas card show. There was multiple copies floating around the floor. Dealer ended up buying multiple versions of it, and I was at the table when it ended up happening. Interesting enough with that. But that's one of the most fake cards in the hobby right now, and that's in my book, which I'm launching in October, Spotting Fakes. So a lot of content based around fake cards on the channel as well. I'm going to get back to it once this book is fully finished.
Sure. Brian, what should people do when you buy a fake card? Like, should you
Yes.
report it to the FBI? Should you destroy it? What should happen?
So personally, I've talked to a few different dealers. The trustworthy dealers that I know that have been in the hobby for 20, 30 years, they take stamps or they write on the back fake card and they store it away for reference material. I can't say all dealers do that, but personally, I give it back to dealer and it's up to them what to do. You get your refund from the dealer as well, and it's in their hands because either they bought the card from eBay, they know who they got it from, or they're the one who supplied the fake. So you figure that out. And I mean, if you go back to their table and they're still selling the card, obviously there's something wrong there.
Yeah, see, I think that's the problem is a lot of these do stay in the hobby, though. They just get recycled back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people who accidentally do get them, and they sell and go, I didn't know it was fake, and then they get it. They want to do what's right and replace it, but that card doesn't get taken out of circulation. And I do think maybe you should report to somebody so somebody can take a wreck. I don't know. It just seems like it's a big gap in the hobby.
Well, even like PSA and Beckett, all them, they still send back fake cards. They just say it's
That's
not
true.
authentic. So, I mean, if they're not doing anything about it, they bring it back to the hand of the person that supplied it. So it's really up to morals and what end up people want to do with the hobby if they want to do that. Like I said, some of the better dealers, they have collections of fake cards and they literally write on the back fakes, and then they have notes and different things like that, stating like why this card was fake. Because you send some of the stuff in, like with Beckett, they'll say it's a fake card. You can figure that out.
Great point here from Andy. Very difficult to prove intent. So someone can play, basically ignorance. I didn't know where it came from. Wasn't my intent. I thought it was real. That's why I think the guy the other day I mentioned got off on those authentic, he's saying authentic autographs and they weren't real authentic or something like that, but he got off of the 2018 charges.
Yeah,
So.
the problem I have right now in the hobby is you go to eBay and you just see how many fake Michael Jordans or Mickey Mantles are selling. It's kind of laughable, some of the fakes that go for thousands of dollars. I mean, they're literally, I could print out a piece of paper and put a mantle card in there, get a fake slab and put it on eBay, and people bid it up to thousands of dollars and get scammed because you have a lot of new money going into the hobby. Everyone says, oh, buy a 1952 mantle. And they think they get a deal of the lifetime getting a quote unquote PSA 7 mantle for $1,000. And it's a joke of a copy of a card.
So you are coming out with a book on this, which will be pretty cool. I assume there'll be Amazon available as well.
I'm going to try to.
What else can people do if they're worried about buying a fake? What do you recommend besides, buying your book and bugging you? Is it just general knowledge or?
Yeah. I mean, you just don't buy what you don't know. I mean, you have to learn about how printing has changed over hundreds of years with cards. I mean, printing in 1800s and printing today is completely different. So if you see modern printing on a card from the 1800s or early 1900s, that card's not real. Again, you can look at the card stock as well. Different eras have different card stocks. Like in the 50s, you can use a light test and see if light passes through a card. If light passes through the card, it's a fake card because they use thicker cardboard. Same with the Gaudis in the 30s. But if you use like a tobacco card, like a T206, light's expected to go through it. So you just kind of have to know how the stock looks like. You have to know the feel of it. Losing a loop really helps as well. You go back to cards like the T205s that have gold borders. You can kind of see some of the gold chips that was infused with the paint and figure out like, okay, this card is real. I mean, the fakes are so obvious with the T205s because it's so hard to replicate that process. But just becoming familiar with what you're buying. Don't go out there and buy something you're not familiar without doing any research, because that's the easiest way to get burned.
Damn internet access.
Oh no, where did you lose me at?
Hear me now? Internet's even worse tonight than normal, I guess. As I say, last night Jason was on and he made a comment about if you're buying vintage, maybe sometimes it's for the PC, buy a lower grade. It's less likely to be fake or altered, right? Like if you're going after a card, instead of going after the PSA 8 or 6 or something, go after a PSA 4 or 5 because you're more likely to get authentic.
Mostly agree with that, but I've seen like 3s and 4s that end up getting trimmed. I mean, even I've been burned on card. I mean, I bought like a Duke Snyder at a card show and I thought I'd grade like a 3 or so. I didn't bring my loop that day. I didn't measure up the card of my own fault. I trusted the dealer, ended up coming back authentic. Luckily, I got my money back from the dealer because I told him like, look, I asked you if it was trimmed or not. You said it wasn't. So that lucked out. But even cards in low grade can be trimmed.
Yeah, it seems like there's just so much shady. There's a couple of comments here from Elite Hunters. The sellers should lose their privileges when selling crappy reprints.
It's horrible, man.
Yeah.
There's dealers, Ziggy, there's dealers on eBay that sell like 40 or 50 different fake cards at once. And it's all like, oh, this is a reprint card, but then sell for $100, $200. And it's a shame. Or there's someone that sells a 500 lot of Michael Jordan reprints. Like no one sells a 500 lot of Michael Jordan reprints for a good intent.
So do you think the grading companies get tricked a lot then? Or do you think they're pretty accurate in picking up fakes and spotting?
They're mostly accurate. I mean, sure, a few slip through the vines. Like the Desert Storm stuff tricked Beckett and some PSA stuff early on because some of those fakes used good stamps. I mean, as more flooded the market, people realized were fakes. And then I know HGA graded a lot of fake ones this year. I don't know if they have it in their system internally now that they know Desert Storm. Like, be very, very careful with them because they're flooded the market. The thing I worry about is like with a lot of the newer grading companies because they don't have the resources available to see all the different cards. I understand that most people sending cards to newer grading companies can be all modern stuff, but if they branch out the vintage, you're not going to have that history of going through hundreds of cards, especially if you have newer graders. Like if you hire someone brand new, what's their familiarity with a caramel card from the early 1900s? It's familiarity with the old Judge card. How are they going to be able to determine if these cards are authentic or not, which is really the main reason why people should be getting cards graded. It's more about authentic, and then the grade applies to the eye appeal on it. But there's a lot to it, and that's why like I'm very wary of newer grading companies rather than established ones because of the resources available. And there's so many different cards out there. There's so many different reprints that people try to make and pass on that there are going to be stuff that slips through the systems, and it looks bad if it does.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I will say honestly was in favor of the new grading companies. When HGA came out and was accepted back in January, February, I was like, hey man, if they can do it, someone else can do it too. But now it just feels like anybody can grade. And I really worry because you're right. If I was going to make counterfeits, I would make counterfeits and I'd send them to different graders that are lower graded. And I try to cross those over to other graders. You know what I'm saying? I would use that type of, I don't know. That definitely concerns me. Good question here in the chat from Lee. Do you think many of the Beckett 1985 Star Jordans are fake or Beckett knew the real cards? I have one of the Beckett in a Beckett slab.
I'd have to do more research on that. I know PSA and SGC don't grade a lot of the Star cards because they were printed again in the 90s. What ended up happening is the printing plates ended up getting passed around after the company, I think, went bankrupt or something along the lines with that, and they were reprinted again. People tried passing those on. There's some subtle differences between a real Star card and a fake Star card. I haven't done my full research on the Star cards yet. That wasn't in my top 50 list for this book. Maybe if I do an update or additional editions later on, I'll be doing more research on it. But there's information online about the Star cards from other people. Definitely check out Blowout.
Another quick, so I don't mean to totally change topic, but I want to mention you're doing the analytics show as well.
Yes.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I've caught a few episodes and I love your research in the fakes, but you've obviously put a lot of time and effort and energy in that as well. Like I'm thinking to myself, how do you have any free time? Because, and you don't have to answer that, but tell us about the analytical show. I think you're doing that with Jordan. And you guys look kind of like Moneyball, is that right? Or
so our podcast is Moneyball Cards. We upload episodes every Wednesday. So you're going to be seeing a new episode tomorrow, which is based on myths in the sports card hobby. We're actually going to be covering the myth of defensive players being worthless in the hobby, along with pitchers. I mean, you see it spewed all the time by different YouTubers, different people on Twitter. Oh, never invest in a pitcher or never invest in a defensive player. But do they actually have any data to back their claims, or are they just shouting what they heard from other people? So we really look at this show and try to give more insights on different things. Like our first episode, we talked about Giancarlo Stanton, the guy who I invested in, and he's kind of an anomaly case because if you look at his home runs, this guy can hit 500 feet home runs, and he's had some crazy seasons at 59 home runs. But is this someone that you should be really investing into right now, holding on to? And we both have very different mindsets. Like I'm a long-term hold type of guy. And then Jordan is more of a short-term kind of flip or get your money out faster. So you get two different data. By the way, we're both data analysts full-time. So we apply what we do at work into cards. So you get two different mindsets on it, whether the short-term or the long-term, and we go back and forth. I mainly talk about baseball. He talks about we kind of split football half and half. And then he talks about basketball. Since I don't really follow basketball, I'm not an expert at all in basketball. But we're trying to do episode every single Wednesday with that and try to cover a lot of different things. And, just something different to help out the hobby, because the data tools help, don't get me wrong, whether it's like market movers, card ladder, any of these other tools that people use, you can get the raw data to figure out how much these cards sell for. You can look at charts, but no one really knows the data behind players. And so many people shout like, oh, you should be investing in Sam Darnold, or you should be investing in Daniel Jones, or some other quarterback, or some other baseball player, or a 26-year-old prospect. But does the data behind it really back up the claim that someone says? And this show show transparency with that, to show like, okay, is this actually someone that can do well? Is this as either a short-term flip or a long-term hold, or is this kind of just like, it's junk?
Very cool. Very cool. I'm looking for, I enjoyed the Stanton episode a lot. I'm looking forward to the next one. It makes me think about, do you guys look at that in any way at fantasy football then?
No, we're just focusing on cards right now, because
okay.
that could be a whole nother show talking about fantasy sports, but we wanted to apply Moneyball principles, looking at advanced stats and everything to cards. And later on, we're going to be building out our own stats, kind of like Moneyball did. We're figuring out everything like that. Like next week, this episode we're going to be recording next Monday or so. We're going to be looking at search data. So how many times someone searches a specific player compared to the prices, looking at raw stats. So with baseball, there's a metric called WAR, and that's like an overall stat that encompasses everything a player does. So we're going to look at the search data, WAR, and also jersey sales to see what affects a card more in both, let's say, the long run or a short-term run, to figure out if people are looking to buy into someone, what you need to use. So we're going to be breaking that down with both baseball and basketball next week with that. But we're just kind of looking at more information that just people don't talk about. So that way people have different ways to think about cards rather than just believing whatever everyone else says.
I love that, dude, with the jersey sales, the search, and the data. That is an awesome. There needs to be a data tool that can do that. That can pull it all together for you. You know what I'm saying? You look at Google Trends. Tell us. I'm loving this topic. I want to know a little bit about some of the shows that are coming up. Where are you going to be the next few? Where are your next few shows? And I know there's a couple coming up. Somebody's talking about Philadelphia here in the chat.
Yeah.
Las Vegas is coming up. Are you going to the industry summit?
I am not. I wanted to go to the industry summit and I had plans to do it. Yeah. And just unfortunately, I have work Monday morning, and going all the way to the West Coast and then coming back, I just can't do it. I have to be at work at 8 a.m. So that means I have to be up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And all the flights from Vegas on Saturday night or on Sunday just did not work out with it. And then going into Vegas as well, since it's such a long flight, there was nothing cheap. Like everything was like $350, $400. But I'm going to be in Boston instead. So the Flipping Card Show is up there. Bowman 1951 runs that show.
Yes.
And
Wilmington as well, right?
Wilmington, yeah. So they invited me out over there, got me a hotel room, and we're going to be going up there and recording.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Like,
what weekend is that? That's
this weekend.
That's this weekend, the 11th and 12th. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to end up doing that, going up there and recording a vlog with that. But this is going to be kind of special since it's 9/11, and wanted to kind of give back to people that were like affected with all that. So we're going to do the proceeds of all the different ads on the videos towards like signatures for soldiers. And then we're going to look for some like signature or autograph cards in dollar boxes, things like that, and give it back to the charity as well. So that way they can have some sales with that. So it's going to be a little bit of different card show video. It's going to be fun.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome. There's a lot of people chatting here. Somebody said, had a great time with you in Tampa.
Absolutely.
How was the Tampa show?
It was fun. I mean, it was like your standard show with 400 tables. It was mostly modern. So if you kind of expected to go in there, find a lot of vintage, you're not going to find it. Like it was the normal vintage dealers that were like in the Tampa and Clearwater shows. I was actually editing the video right before this episode. So still have a little bit to go, but only complaints about the show was the fees. So before even walking into the show, you're looking at $30 alone between the ticket price to get in and parking, which that's really, really expensive, especially like you think about it with the common collector going to a show. I mean, you don't have to pay for parking, and you walk in. And even if you do, it's like $2-3, whatever. Now you're talking about spending $30. And let's say you bring your son to the show, let's say 30 plus another 15 for ticket sale. You're already looking at $45. You have two kids, $60 just to walk into the show without buying one card. So it's not the national, but still it's like, it's expensive for that. And the security kind of was rude at the show. Like, I get why they were being super strict, but they're kind of rude to people walking in and when the show is closing down. Like, I was helping my friend work on his table, setting things up. They were yelling like, "You need to get out of the show right now." And it was like 5:01 when the show was at 5. And I was recording a vlog going into the show, and they're yelling at me, "Get off your camera, talk to us." They use the briefcase and everything like that. It's like, come on, man. Like, I'm trying to help promote the show. Don't be rude.
Were you at the New York City show? What they call the East Coast National with the hurricane, right? Let me ask you this. Can you rank the shows, not national, but rank Dallas pre-national, Dallas after national, and those few shows? How are they ranking?
Yeah, so with let me see real quick. I didn't go to the last Dallas show, so I can't really talk about that. I ended up going to Nashville that weekend. But for my favorite shows overall, I'd say Wisdell's and Dallas are my like 1 and 2 right after the national. Wisdell's just has so much vintage there, and the dealer is really the venue is honestly the nicest venue you're going to go to. It's the middle of a water park resort. It's all carpeted, and the one thing about carpet is it's so much easier like walking on if you're going to continue to go around the show rather than concrete. I know people don't really know that if like you don't walk around a lot, but man, after a day just nonstop walking, it helps you quite a bit with all that cushioning. But the venue is so nice there. A lot of vintage as well. And like the VIP night that they had / trade night was in a bar with a bunch of games. They brought in food and everything in the middle of like their amusement park that they had next to the water park. And it was really, really cool. Only thing that sucks is it's like an hour Uber away from the airport. So you're already looking at like a $60 Uber fee traveling to that show just from the airport alone. That's the one thing I don't like about certain shows is, I mean, you have to think about all the different expenses between flying into a show, Ubering over to a show, Ubering back, and it can get really, really expensive with that type of things. I kind of wish some venues were a little bit closer to airports.
Are you going to be at Philadelphia in a few weeks?
I'm going to try to. I have to still confirm everything. And Flip and Steve, definitely have to do it, man. Like, that was a lot of fun. I'm glad you got that lesson, girl.
There's a lot of people look like they're going to be in Philadelphia. I'm not too far from there. I might try to make that myself. Elite Hunter, there's a great shout out here that you never sleep. You always hustle.
I sleep a little bit, but I'm always trying to work on stuff.
There was a quick question here about the industry day. I don't know if you know the answer to this.
Sure.
Is the industry day open to anybody, or was it open to anybody?
The card show is, but not the industry summit. So I was talking to Eric about it. Some people were thinking the card show, you had to have an industry summit pass. It's like $10 to enter into the card show. I'd recommend going to it. I mean, it's like a turner table show in Vegas. You're going to have all your big guys there, a lot of dealers and different things like that, and vendors. I think Fanatics is also sponsoring it or something. So definitely worth going to. I wish it worked for my schedule. I really wanted to go to that show. But luckily I was able to have a backup plan with Boston, still hang out with some friends up there. So I'm pretty happy about that.
The industry summit itself, though, I don't know. My understanding was it's always been kind of generally open. In the past, it was mainly breakers and dealers who went there. Like collectors typically did not go. Last year with COVID, they made it virtual, and a lot of people attended that I don't think had ever been before. There was a long list on there. This year, when I saw it, I think it was open to anybody, but you had to pay. It was like $500 for the industry summit.
$500. Yep.
And then you had to pay for your hotel and stuff like that. And it's 4 or 5 days. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like during the weekdays.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great content. It looks good, but it is definitely not a trade. It's not a sports card show at all. It's sitting in conference rooms, listening to presentations, hearing a guy come in and talk about what Panini's going to be doing for the next year. What's interesting, apparently, is Fanatics is going to be speaking there this year. So it's sold out immediately. And that's what I'm saying. I know, like Mike, baseball card collector, Mike will be there for Bench Clear. He's going. Ty will be there. A lot of other people will be there. I think Jeremy will be there for Sports Cards Live.
Yep. I think also Sports Card Investor, I was talking to them a few months ago that they're going there as well. I really wish
he's teaching. I want to say I won't say teaching. I think he has 2 sessions that he's giving during that. And he's been doing a lot around children education or kids education in the hobby, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Need that.
Any quick comments, questions from anybody in the audience? This has been awesome. I'm not cutting us off. I just want to see, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Flipping Steve Bowman, Willie Mays. It's a great card. Keep looking. I'm watching for Greg Maddox inserts.
They have been going up. I saw someone on Twitter posting about them.
What is the biggest lesson learned so far from hobby since starting your channel?
Ooh, the biggest lesson learned since starting your channel. Honestly, I'm just going to say like experience life. Like when I started my channel, I didn't expect to be traveling to all the different shows, and it's opened up a lot of different connections and meeting people and just doing new things. And I think it's been a lot of fun with that. If I didn't open up my channel, there'd be no way I'd ever be going to any of these shows. I'd be watching it on YouTube, but I probably would never have gone to the Wisconsin show. I would never probably even went to the state of Wisconsin, just to be fully transparent.
Cool.
Or like the first time I ever went to Iowa, right? Like Iowa's not a state. I think in top of my head, I'm gonna go travel to Iowa to go to a card show. Even like you told me that 6 months ago, I would have thought you're crazy. No, I went to Iowa for a show. I ended up going to Dallas and Houston, and just the traveling and going to different states has been a lot of fun, and I just never expected it.
I think that's a great point. I mean, you're right. And I applaud what you're doing. I remember watching your show back in the beginning when you and is it Steve, the other gentleman,
Yeah,
right?
Steven.
Would do like you're doing local shows and you're doing some videos and stuff like that. And then you started going to all these shows like this is freaking awesome. And I applaud your hustle, your passion, all the things you've gotten involved in. Like people have said in here, a lot of people see you around on a lot of different channels. You're always putting out great content. You're always responsive. I really appreciate having you on. Like I said, not just tonight, but having you in the past. We got some other questions coming in. I want to get these to you. I'm just going to pull this up. Do you want to set up as a dealer?
Yeah. So the funny thing about it, once Spotting Fakes is out, Steven's going to be setting up at the table, and I'm going to be walking around the shows. So that way, you can kind of see a little bit behind the scenes of doing both. I really enjoy doing the interviews and getting to meet people. But one thing I've realized as well is tabling from the financial standpoint just makes so much sense, because people are just going to come up there and give you so many deals because they need cash. And if you have the cash present, you can start trading for cards and making more deals and compound the money, versus going around. You have to work with the dealers who got those cards already at a deal, but they're going to be marking it up. Don't get me wrong. You can find a lot of deals walking around a show, but having the deals walk up to you is just a completely another level. Plus on top of it, you can still market yourself. You get to meet more people and shake hands. So I want to do a little bit of both, of tabling and walking around. I'm figuring out how the best way to approach that from the vlog standpoint, because I only can do pretty much one day on a card show, because I have to still go back. I have to edit the video, and that takes forever to edit a video. I mean, most of the videos, 10 plus hours at a minimum, just editing wise. So what's probably going to end up happening is Steven will end up tabling Saturday and Sunday. I'll leave a show Saturday and start editing the video, but you get to see a little behind the scenes of what Steven did at the table. I might see at the table for like an hour or so while he walks around as well.
Another good question here.
Yeah. So
where is book available?
Yeah. So the book is not available until October. So I'm going to put it on my website and then hopefully get on Amazon as well. So there's a printed edition of it. I think Amazon does print on demand. I have to look more into it to be 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they do that. And what's the next card? It's Spotting Fakes. I just had to pick something from the book, to be honest with you. I've been kind of slacking on getting those videos up, but I've been so busy trying to finish that book and, work on the new podcast, and also work on, I forgot to say, the other series I'm doing on my channel where I bring on collectors and interview them about their own personal collection. I don't know if I'm going to make it to a full-on podcast or not. I think I'm going to. But like last week, I ended up bringing up David Peck. The most incredible wrestling collection out there. I didn't really even know much about wrestling cards until I talked to him. But the series kind of highlights different people's personal collections. And I'm about people both with vintage, modern as well. Like I want to have people across the full spectrum to kind of show and appreciate that everyone has their own personal collection and everyone has their own knowledge and insight in the hobby. So I've been focusing on getting that going, the Spotting Fakes and card shows. There's a lot going on right now.
That's awesome. Here's a great comment here. Ryan and Elite Hunters are the guys who got me into vintage boxing cards. Thank you very much. That's awesome to hear, man. Lee has another quick question, and this is a great one because it's an opportunity for us to plug you.
Yeah.
How did he fund his travel costs?
Yeah. So
Well,
right now, majority of it is coming from my salary. So since I'm a full-time data analyst, I use a lot of my money towards that. I do some flips. I'm trying to get more flips now at shows. So working with dealers or people walking around to see if I can buy some cards off of them and sell. If like they don't have cards that are selling well, okay, I'll buy it off of you for X amount of comps. Kind of like what Sasha T does, where he goes around and buys stuff cheap and then just flips it. So like with the collector's con, I just did that the other day. I bought some cards. People were offering it like 75% comps. So I'm able to sell the stuff. I'll put in a little bit of work, whether it's eBay or My Slabs or Twitter, Instagram, buy some cards and then resell them for funds. But mostly it's through that. I do have My Slabs a little bit, but they only sponsor 2 videos a month. So most of my out-of-state card show videos are wide open if a sponsor wants to come in and work with me on those.
yeah, let me stress that again. Ryan is looking for sponsors, and I think this is a great person to sponsor if you have a company out there and you want to sponsor someone in the hobby, because Ryan's out there, he's active, and he's creative on ways he can do things, but he's looking for somebody who help cover those travel costs for him, right? As he goes to shows, does videos, and I think it's a great opportunity for whatever company that might be to get that visibility, that touch points, because the guy's hitting a lot of different places. So. I would definitely look forward to your book. I'll definitely buy a copy of your book, regardless. I don't even read. I can't read, but I'll buy your book because I want to support your channel.
I appreciate
and I really
it.
applaud your hustle out there, man. Let me see. A couple other questions. Who is the second safest football player to invest in after Tom Brady?
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown. Okay, good one. I can't argue with that.
I mean, there's multiple reasons behind it. I mean, first off, if you think of what would be like the equivalent of the mantle for football cards, I think Jim Brown is the one that comes to mind. When you think of vintage football, I mean, what's the first card that comes to your mind?
When I think vintage, what?
Football.
I don't think vintage. I guess I would say Namath would come first into my mind.
Okay.
And that's not very vintage, right? I mean,
yeah.
To me, I like the story, but I don't know.
For me, I think it's like the Jim Brown, the very iconic rookie card with that. And plus, I think a lot of newer guys also know who Jim Brown is. And, he's a top 5 football player of all time. And the fact that people still talk about him today, even though his rookie card was well over 60 years ago, kind of shows you how good of a player he was.
Well, it's funny. I know who he is, and I totally respect him, but I have no idea what his card is. And let me ask you this: does he only have one card, or does he have like?
No. I'm talking about his rookie card.
Yeah, his rookie card. Does he only have one rookie card? Does he only have one, right? Like one brand.
Correct.
I didn't know that. Is it Topps or Bowman or what?
Topps.
Okay. See, very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I don't know football. I'm not a big. It's funny. I don't know vintage very much at all. I appreciate it, but just not on my. I think it's because my kids aren't as much into it. They make fun of me as it is, and I'm old. I'm looking for a couple more questions here to cherry pick. Do you talk about greeny yellow 75 mini shorties and all the trimmed?
I really don't. He's talking about the 75 baseball cards and how they're trimmed, a lot of them. I talk about general trimming in the book. I don't really talk about the 75s. As funny as enough as it is, I feel like for some reason in the hobbies, the 75 minis kind of been forgotten about the last few years. We've seen price spikes across the board with a lot of different cards, but between Brett and Yount in that set, those cards really haven't spiked as much as other players. I feel like they've been kind of flatline, and I could be wrong. I'd have to take a look at more of the data, but I feel like those cards are still pretty cheap comparative, like what everything else has been doing in the hobby. And of course, you have the Nolan Ryan in that set that people really like as well. But they're cool cards. Just I don't see a lot of people at least faking them right now, and there's trimming of everything out there.
That's so funny. I got a question here. I think I already know the answer to this one, but I'm gonna put it up here.
Would you ever touch NFTs? Yeah. So
Really?
I did Top Shot NFTs a while ago, and I'm working on some stuff with NFTs, but I can't really talk about it right now.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. I would have thought you would say no, which I thought was ironic because as the old man in the room, I love NFTs and I don't like vintage as much. So that's cool.
I have some stuff I'm working on with it, but I can't talk.
I'm really excited about these NFT fantasy football games, man. I think there's 2 that I'm tracking right now where you create your players by NFTs and you make fantasy football teams. And that to me might be my sweet spot. I love fantasy football. I love NFTs. So we're going to see how that goes. Man, a lot of great comments, a lot of great people. Guys, thank you very much for being here tonight and supporting the channel, for supporting, Ryan. I don't see any other quick questions, and we're over my 30 minutes typically, which is fine. 45 minutes is always good. If you guys aren't following each other, there's a lot of great content creators in this channel, by the way. And Glorious P, Cards and Comics, Living with LT. Lee, I don't think you have a channel, but it's great to see you. Sports Card Analytics, who's the co-host with Moneyball Cards. Guys, please check out each other's channels. Subscribe. Definitely check out Breakout Cards. Ryan, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate having you on, and I look forward to having you come back. I'd love to say, I know you're the like the honorary trade show expert for a lot of channels, but you are always welcome on my channel, man. So anytime something's going on, let me know. When your book comes out, I'd love to have you back on. I'm always going to be pinging you. I'm always going to be dropping breakout cards when I talk about market movers, because I hope that if people are going to sign up, they go give you guys the little kickback. And like I said, if there's people out there looking to sponsor, seriously think about sponsoring breakout cards. They're a great young group of guys doing some phenomenal things in this hobby. And when you talk about influencers, these are the type of influencers that I'm really, really bullish on. In fact, I'd love to see you guys get on as many channels as I can help you get on to. So, Ryan, thank you very much, man, for being here.
I appreciate it, Ziggy. Thank you.
Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the channel. I'm going to kill this. Thank you, guys. I'll be back tomorrow night. We got a great week. I will say this, too. If anybody's interested in being on the channel, please let me know. Instagram's the best way. But I've got somebody confirmed for tomorrow night, for Thursday night, and for Friday night. Really, really cool week lineup. I'm really, really excited. Ryan, again, thanks for making tonight happen, man. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe. Treat people like you want to be treated.